Salut, it's Jennifer, your French teacher in the south of France, and today I'm going to show you a verb that you may know already or you may not know, but it's a really important one. And let me just go ahead and tell you what it is, and then I'll tell you how I found the inspiration for this lesson today. So the verb is renverser. Have you ever heard that verb? Maybe, maybe not. But today I'm going to show you 10 clever and perhaps unexpected ways to use this fabulous French verb. I'm going to show you a few other things too, but look here at this little picture I have on the left. Le mighty mug. Did you know that mug has become a word in French? So, and it's masculine. So let me just tell you. The other day, we had to go to the car parts store, you know. We're trying to get our air conditioner, la climatisation, fixed in any way. We had to wait in the store forever. They couldn't even fix our air conditioning, but they didn't call us to tell us. They made us wait 2 hours because they wrote down the wrong phone number. Vive la France. Okay, but anyway, I'm strolling around, wasting time looking around. And I see this picture. Let me show it to you again. Le seul mug qui ne se renverse pas. Okay, and I looked at it and I thought, just because I'm kind of thinking about, my teacher brain is on almost all the time, and I thought, you know what, I'll bet you a lot of people would not know how to say the only mug that never spills over or that never knocks over. Okay, and that's the verb se renverser. And then as I strolled around looking at all of the, the little things I can hang from my rear view mirror and stuff like that, I started thinking of all the other ways that you can use the verb renverser. So this sentence, le seul mug qui ne se renverse pas, we're using the verb renverser in the reflexive way. All right, so because that would be something that the mug would be doing to itself, knocking itself over, spilling over. So what I'm going to show you 10 ways to use the verb renverser, and the cool thing is it's a regular ER verb, so conjugating it's a breeze. And then I'm going to show you for each example, I'm going to give you another way to say basically the same thing, but with a different verb. Okay, so this is going to be fun and hopefully not too long. I know I'm long-winded. I'll try to keep it under control today. All right, so the first one, renverser means to spill. Okay, so this one's in the passé composé. J'ai renversé la bouteille de lait. J'ai renversé la bouteille de lait. And then in the passé composé with a direct object pronoun, je l'ai renversé. Je l'ai renversé. Okay, so that simply means I spilled it. D'accord? Now, if you have questions about why I've underlined the E on renverser, just a quick reminder that if you are an intermediate student, you probably know that when you have a direct object or a direct object pronoun in the passé composé and it comes before the past participle, you usually have to make agreement with it, unless you're talking about the FAIRE causative from my lesson last week. All right, so I'm going to now show you another way to say basically the same sentence about the milk. It sort of means the same thing, but this time we're using a FAIRE causative construction, faire tomber, which can mean either to drop or to knock over. J'ai fait tomber la bouteille de lait. J'ai fait tomber la bouteille de lait. Je l'ai fait tomber. Je l'ai fait tomber. Here I put no E on fait because this is a causative construction. So that means I dropped the bottle of milk as opposed to I spilled the bottle of milk. You see how they mean almost the same thing? So that's what we're going to do for all 10 of my examples, and hang around until the end of the video and I'll show you how you can get your lesson guide as well as some exercises that will really help you practice all of these new verbs and ways to use them today, and help you with your sentence structure in French as well. So make sure you stick around. Number 2, numéro 2, renverser, again, it can mean to knock over or to knock down. Okay, so listen to this. Les copains de mon frère ont renversé la lampe. Les copains de mon frère ont renversé la lampe. Ils l'ont renversé. Ils l'ont renversé. So see how now renverser means to knock over or to knock down. Now look at this, another example with the same lamp. We're going to use faire tomber. Faire tomber is a French causative construction. And if you missed that lesson, just look it up. Love Learning Languages, French causative construction, and you'll find it because it's a good one, okay? And so many times it's used in French. So, faire tomber. Les copains de mon frère ont fait tomber la lampe. Okay, allez, numéro 3. Renverser can also mean to reverse a situation. Comment renverser la situation? Comment renverser la situation? Comment la renverser? You see, to reverse a situation. Now there's another way you can say more or less the same thing. Retourner. Retourner can mean to turn a situation around. Comment retourner la situation? Comment retourner la situation? Comment la retourner? Comment la retourner? Now you've probably seen the verb retourner, and it means to return, and it's on the Dr. and Mrs. P. Vandertramp list for the passé composé. You use it with être, usually. But, you know, just like renverser can have lots of different meanings, many French verbs can. The verb retourner does mean to go back or to return. However, now you learn another meaning for it, okay? Comment retourner la situation. Okay, and just so that you know, as I mentioned, this verb retourner is a verb that uses être in the passé composé, usually. Okay, so if you're familiar with that list of verbs, 17 verbs that use être in the passé composé, it's on there. However, when this verb retourner is followed by a direct object, it changes meaning, right? And when it's followed by a direct object, it no longer uses être as helping verb in the passé composé. So if I were to put this situation, retourner la situation, you see la situation is the direct object. And in the second sentence, la is the direct object pronoun. So if I wanted to say, you turned the situation around, I would say, tu as retourné la situation with the verb avoir. Again, that's because of the direct object that comes before the helping verb. Okay? You know, that's a little extra. And in Louisiana, we would call that lagniappe. I don't know if that's a real French word or not, but that's what we call it in Louisiana. So if you're from Louisiana, you let me know in the comments and you'll know what I'm talking about. A little lagniappe, little something, something extra. Okay? Number 4. Renverser. Renverser can mean to invert. Il faut renverser les lettres pour trouver la solution. Il faut renverser les lettres pour trouver la solution. Il faut les renverser pour trouver la solution. Okay, now look how this sentence is almost the same. Now we're using the verb mélanger. It means to mix up, mélanger. Il faut mélanger les lettres pour trouver la solution. Il faut mélanger les lettres pour trouver la solution. Il faut les mélanger pour trouver la solution. D'accord? Okay, guys, now look, we're already on number 5, but you have already learned, let's just scoot back up here, you've already learned renverser, to spill, faire tomber, to drop or knock over, renverser, to knock over or to knock down, faire tomber, to drop or to knock down or over, renverser, to reverse a situation, Retourner, to turn a situation around. Okay, renverser to invert, and mélanger to mix up. So lots of new verbs today. Look at number 5. Here's another one. Renverser is to knock somebody over. Did you know that? So, si vous renversez quelqu'un, il faut l'aider à se relever. Si vous renversez quelqu'un, il faut l'aider à se relever. D'accord? Okay, so now look at this. Bousculer. Now this doesn't mean, this is not a true synonym. It doesn't mean exactly the same thing. Bousculer means to bump into somebody. Si vous bousculez quelqu'un, il faut lui dire pardon. Si vous bousculez quelqu'un, il faut lui dire pardon. So the difference between renverser quelqu'un, this person is actually being knocked down, okay? And if you bousculer, this just might be, you can be in the metro or in the bus or something, or even just walking down the street and accidentally bump into someone. Oh, excusez-moi. If you renverser quelqu'un, it's much, much more serious. D'accord? Okay, let's keep going. Numéro 6. Renverser can mean to overthrow, like the government, for example. Okay, so l'opposition veut renverser le pouvoir. L'opposition veut renverser le pouvoir. L'opposition veut le renverser. L'opposition veut le renverser. And look at this one. Reprendre means to take back. Now, so this kind of means the same thing. Renverser le pouvoir, reprendre le pouvoir. You see what I mean? Donc, l'opposition veut reprendre le pouvoir. L'opposition veut le reprendre. So when I was writing these, at first I had written les gilets jaunes veulent renverser le pouvoir. Okay? Some of them do. And then I thought that was a little too political. But now I'm saying it anyway. You know, the gilets jaunes, the yellow vests. I'm not saying if I'm for or against, but we could replace l'opposition with les gilets jaunes in case that's part of your French conversation lately. Regarde, les gilets jaunes veulent reprendre le pouvoir. Ou alors, les gilets jaunes veulent renverser le pouvoir. Okay, so that's interesting. Allez, numéro 7. Now, se renverser. This one is reflexive. So remember, when you use reflexive verbs, as you see there in the example, your helping verb has to be être. D'accord? So that's why we're using être here. Le train a déraillé et s'est renversé sur le côté. Le train a déraillé et s'est renversé sur le côté. So in this case, se renverser means to flip over. And, that can bring us back up to our mug. Le seul mug qui ne se renverse pas. Okay, so that's kind of the same meaning as what we see right here. To flip over. D'accord? Something it does to itself. Now here's another one about the train. We could say se coucher sur le côté. Now, se coucher, you've probably seen that. Se coucher means to go to bed. Here's another example of a French verb that can have more than one meaning. So, se coucher sur le côté, let's look at this example. Le train a déraillé et s'est couché sur le côté. So in this case, the train actually derailed and rolled over on its side. D'accord? So you see how the meanings are quite similar. D'accord? Okay, look, we're already to numéro 8. Now here, you get not only a reflexive verb, but this is a reflexive verb using that French causative construction that I keep talking to you about. So let's have a look at it. Se faire renverser. Now this is when the actual person, the subject, gets knocked over or gets run over by a car, okay? So in this example, j'ai failli me faire renverser par une voiture. J'ai failli me faire renverser par une voiture. So you'll notice here the me has to go in front of faire. Okay? Now you have two infinitives there. But since this is that causative construction, your me has to go in front of faire. Because in fact, you're not going to renverser anything. This is what's going to happen to you. Tu vas te faire renverser. Now you might be looking at that j'ai failli and thinking, oh, la, Jennifer, goodness, what's that? That's kind of advanced. Well, in grammar, it doesn't show up later until in the grammar books. But you need to learn it because j'ai failli means I almost. And you see how I just followed it up with an infinitive? J'ai failli me faire. So the infinitive is faire. You can have a pronoun of any kind before the infinitive, okay? Just not another subject. So j'ai failli, you can follow it up with any infinitive. Like you can say, j'ai failli rater mon bus. What would that mean? J'ai failli rater mon bus. I almost missed my bus. J'ai failli oublier mon livre. I almost forgot my book. That's some more lagniappe for you. All right, that's Louisiana for extra. Okay, now look at this. So we talked about se faire renverser, to get run over or to get knocked over. Se faire écraser, to get smushed, really, to get run over by a car. Okay? So, you know, if an animal gets run over by a car, if a person gets run over by a car or hit by a car, however you want to say it, in French, you can also say se faire écraser. Donc, j'ai failli me faire écraser par une voiture. J'ai failli me faire écraser par une voiture. Et déjà, au numéro 9, you can use the verb renverser to be greatly surprised. Yeah, cette nouvelle a vraiment renversé mes parents. Cette nouvelle a vraiment renversé mes parents. Cette nouvelle les a vraiment renversés. Cette nouvelle les a vraiment renversés. So this news, now keep in mind, news in English, I know this is plural, but in French it's just singular, okay? So that's why it's written cette nouvelle. Really surprised them or greatly surprised my parents. Now we can also, this is a direct synonym, we can also use the verb bouleverser, which means to overwhelm or to upset. Cette nouvelle a vraiment bouleversé mes parents. Cette nouvelle a vraiment bouleversé mes parents. Cette nouvelle les a vraiment bouleversés. Cette nouvelle les a vraiment bouleversés. Okay, so use either one of those. They're both great verbs. And here's the last one. Renverser la tête. It really means something completely different. To tilt your head back. Now, I realized, you know, I was stretching because I really wanted a number 10 for this. So I decided to use renverser la tête. It's not used all the time. I mean, you know, but this gives me a round number 10, and I like that. How about you? So, but anyway, it's a cool thing to know. Elle a renversé la tête en arrière en riant. Elle a renversé la tête en arrière en riant. Elle l'a renversé en arrière en riant. Now, I think that what might be more interesting for you in this sentence is the en riant. You might say, what the heck is that? Well, I'm not going to get into the grammar behind it, but if you want to look it up, it's called le gérondif. So it's a gerund, all right? And it just means laughing. D'accord? So she tilted her head back, laughing. Voilà. So there is one more way to say the same thing, which is probably more common, to be honestly. Pencher. Pencher means to tilt as well. Donc, elle a penché la tête en arrière en riant. Elle a penché la tête en arrière en riant. Elle a penché en arrière en riant. Elle l'a penché en arrière en riant. Okay, so there you have it. 10 ways to use renverser, and I swear to you, we spent 2 hours waiting for our stupid car because they didn't write down the right phone number and they didn't think to page us. So I came up with all of these while walking around the car parts store in France. So see, I'm always thinking about you guys. Let me know if you have any questions. And, I promised you I would tell you how you could get the complete lesson guide with all of the examples and rules that I mentioned in this lesson. So, of course, you can. C'est fastoche. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. It's super easy. If you're a supporter of mine on Patreon, at any level, you can go on over there now and download this lesson guide for free so that you can print it out and have it handy. Now, I got to tell you, when you go over to Patreon, look at the different levels because I do give different goodies for each lesson according to your level of support. I do appreciate everything. But I also have some worksheets that can help you with all 20 of these new verbs that you've learned today. If you're interested, you can sign up for my mini course. So the link to my mini course as well as the Patreon link are both in the video description below. Merci beaucoup et à très bientôt. Au revoir. Okay, ciao.